The Proposal, A New Arrival, Dao Buddha, by Medusa DB Loveheart, Part 3. I simply revealed the truth as it is about a taboo that has been here for far too long time. That's all. In all this stress and self-absorbing mentalities of today, people seem to forget to stay and look at the whole picture of ourself as a complete, to see the realities and truths, or the truth in our reality as well. Yes, the future will look different, no matter you like it or not. That's just a fact, a truth, a moment in time, and a part of our already advancing evolution. And we are evolving. Throughout time, evolution is a change in constant motion. Today people laugh about that once upon a time people couldn't handle the fact that Earth was not flat but orbital. Hee hee. That's where you are today about the resent facts you just read. We owe our own responsibility of our own evolution, we as in human race. Time and space doesn't give a damn if we exist in it or not. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, not why or what's the point of, but who is responsible for all this? Who is the reason for all the cities, the airplanes, the cars, the roads, the food, the technology, the languages, the financial ecosystem? Yes, we are at a new point where the Earth once again is flat, but this time in another point of view. We are talking about the phenomena heterosexuals here. The problem is there is no such thing. Yeah, you heard me. There is no such thing as a heterosexual. I just explained about the anus nerve topology anatomy map for you very clearly, and that fact alone rules out any form of so-called heterosexuals. There truly isn't any such thing as a heterosexual whatsoever, never has been, never will be. It's a mental disorder cause all males and females can have sex with same sex. There is no such thing as a physical block for it to happen, and males just love anal sex, there is no doubt about it. It's all in your little head, dear. You've been raised to believe there is such a thing as a heterosexual, that's why. It's all in your head. You're a fool. Not just with your guns and your bombs and your wars, but as a heterosexual you're a fool in your head. You're an emotional dysfunctional species that doesn't understand that you have been drawing the shortest straw when it comes to the greatest quality of sexual self-experience. You're an intelligence and emotional fool in your head, dear. Yes, you heterosexual. It's scientifically proved it's physically impossible to be a so-called heterosexual. Even science defines the human being as a sexual. Yes, that's correct, dear. As sexual meaning your tail always swing both ways. Don't worry, love, there is a savior for you. Yeah, that's right, heterosexual, you're wrong in your head. You're a sleepwalker. Wake up, sleepwalker, wake up. Wake up. You are living on a flat planet at the moment, dear heterosexual, wake up. In your head. Because no one told you differently before. Wake up. The social war between the male and female in this straight normality norm that dominates today is probably one of the strangest, weirdest, and most stupid wars I have ever seen. We are all victims under our own self-esteem in one way or another. This projection war that's still ongoing doesn't serve a good purpose for anyone. Equality is something that is today more or less a blur of gray in the heteronormality norm we live in. The disability to see each other as equally different people are becoming scary. There still are huge differences in human rights all over the world, and the stupidity in the differentiation just takes weirder turns. Feminism has served great purpose in bringing equality between male and female beings. It has done marvelous work with old-fashioned mentalities and is still needed in many ways on many places. We should be grateful this ism is and has been here for so long, struggling with old mentalities and fighting narrow-minded people's ideas of an old world. Change takes time, and this is just one of the proofs of it. Both male and female are being stubborn and silly in their contest of supreme being. Neither is better than the other here. Females have been and still are on many places in the world extremely oppressed in their equal rights as human being. It's scary that they haven't had the right to vote, or that it's been ugly with female professionals in the working environment, as if they aren't capable of having a working profession with success. They have been assumed to take a role as a home wife, and to only take care of the household. That picture has faded today in big parts of the world, but there is still much left to be wished for. There is an underlying picture here that goes in an opposite direction and are part of the silly war among sexes, and that's the fact that the female population, very much like the male population, consider themselves better than the male being. Truth is, many females would never want to consider themselves as equal to the male being, since it would be a degradation for the female human being. Here starts the projection war. Male people might have issues with relating with their own feelings, but truth is many males has great connection with their feelings. However, the straight normality norm disapprove to that fact and has a weird template lots of people believe they should fit in to be normal. Fit into? What kind of free will is that? Where is the individuality in that? Male or female both have same journey to make to be in harmony with their true self. Just as many females as males has problems in accepting the truth about themselves, and emotionally both has same amount of troubles even though they take different forms of existence. Females are not late to admit that males are feeling threatened by a female understanding the today's male normality template, but they are extremely in denial about their major problems with males understanding the today's female normality template. On one level, the last thing a female of today truly wants is equality, because of their foundational base that they are the carrier of life, they are superior. It is true that it makes a female very special and the bond between female and child will always be unique. But why make it so ugly by fueling a supreme being contest that's nothing but a misunderstanding in the reality of the human being in its natural state? Humans are a two-component animal, and that is just the way we are created by nature. That's how advanced the animal human is. We are equally different from each other, and we should be proud of it with dignity, respect the diversity of our nature, and not try to compete about who's better or not. This mentality war is one of the main reasons the straight normality norm of today never really succeed in their own definition of what love should be. What people believe love is today, and what it really is are so far away from each other, and will continue to be as long people refuse to see the truth in themselves as a human being. Today there isn't many couples that remains married since their testimonial about love is rather a testimonial about ownership and who is the supreme being rather than about love. Yes, the male has for way long time been even more foolish in their own belief of being just that, a supreme being. This is a war that has been efficiently maintained by the heterosexual normality norm. This war goes on both in subconscious as well as conscious, and unfortunately it's destructive enough to tear down the possibilities of lasting love very efficiently. About 50% of all marriages end in divorce today, and most of it because of partially this accepted denied sexual war as well as the incompetent relation to human sexuality. Love today is something more of a fictional happening you can see on the movie, and there they only show a fictional idea of what it should be rather than what it is, and people that truly understands that. What happens is that people assume that love is, rather than to experience it and explore it within themselves and their partner. Love doesn't follow a template. Love is a relation to your own life experience and a complementing attraction with fuels of unknown territory, as well as the thrilling exploration of denied possibilities. Love is a thrill of comfort where you get an opportunity to co-experience the coexistence. Love can come to you suddenly as well as it can grow over time. The force and power of love is great and mysterious in many ways. Strongest of them all, love comes from the heart, desire from the brain. Love has nothing to do with the ongoing war of who's superior. That's a fool's war and a matter of greed for false greatness. Love isn't based on what gender the relation is between. Love is truly amazing and can be shared and received in all direction. Love is not lust. Never has been, will never be. Erotica or lust is a skill, an emotion, and a basic need for all living creatures. Love relates to everything, humans, animals, work, hobbies, young and old. Sex, however, follows nature in all direction. Love is one of the most beautiful experiences you can experience, and you should take care of that opportunity and nurture it well when it happens to you. Love is free and should be respected thereafter. The domain and element of love is as big as universe and can grow as old as you can. So don't choke love, don't disrespect an evolving feeling as powerful as love is. The war of the sexes is a foolish war in this hetero norm we all grow up in today. Unfortunately, most people are educated by this normality template, unaware the consequences of it in old age. That's how powerful the normality norm is on a society. It shapes and forms people into templates of what should be or not should be without questioning if that's the truth or not. The normality norm only reflects what once was normal and lack of understanding, but it was ages ago science admitted humans to be only sexual. That's how bad the heteronormality norm is today, stating against science that humans are not sexual beings. Few people have the guts to think for themselves, even less that dares to stand up for their diversity in existence. It takes enormous strength to stand up for different being. When it comes to social understanding and relational behavior, it's just as bad. The issue spans over both true physical understanding and experience, as well as the common understanding of the fact that we all are having it. The taboo about sex is ridiculous. That sex would be more private than any other object. Every single human experiences it, and there is nothing about it that makes you or any other single human unique about it. We all eat food. We all have sex. Some experiences are better than others. It's a major important part of every human life experience and the greatest reward you can give yourself, and that people chose to damage and deny it into a truly sad level of skill set. Sex isn't just about flesh and bones, but also the ability to in your head live it out and to allow yourself to dive into all the horny and erotically lust there is. For some reason, people seems to believe that it's not like that for everyone, that they for some reason would be alone about this kind of awareness and understanding. People are ashamed of the pure and true nature of eroticy and sexuality. That's exactly the way it is, and that's exactly how a vast majority of all the people around the earth are crippled and ruins their own life's pleasures, as well as their partners. The most ironical of it all is that they also seem to believe that that's the way to deal with sexualism responsible and maturely. No, it's not. It's the most immature way possible to relate to it. Humans love eroticy, humans love sex and sensuality. We can be sexy in our flesh, in our minds, and in our hearts. Our entities will always be on display for the eye, and because of our nature, we will always be reflecting over what's teasing our vision, no matter what the entity's organs between the legs are. That's just the way it is to be human being. It's a natural part of our very own existence. Females love to objectify its opposite sex more than ever, and she has always done that. Females objectify not only males but also females, just like males do. None of them dare to admit they are just as human as the other is. Females love male bodies naked as well as half-naked. However, they for some reason seem to believe that if they deny it, they would be ahead in the supreme being contest, which is the biggest lie you could ever live in. Humans never grow up, we grow limited. To believe that if you disrespect our most dominant sense you get better, you apparently don't understand what a human being is nor its existential basics, especially if you are a firm believer of the calculating lifestyle. Males are just as much sex objects as females are, and because of how this world has failed in understanding our existence reality and its truth, that's not a reflected truth. Today females grow up learning loads of skill in emotional communication, but hardly anything about their own sexuality. Males, on the other hand, grows up learning everything about their penis and how to deny their feelings as hard as possible, because once upon a time back in the Stone Age, men usually needed to go hunting food. Humans don't relate to that reality anymore and hasn't really done that for quite some time now, and yet it colors our normality norm in such extent because of our very own evolutionary timeline. The mentalities of humans today are so lost and far away from our true nature, it's almost scary. Today, both male and female entities are more aware about their physical appearance than ever, and we all love the attraction of the eye. Yet so many cannot see the truth within themselves and chose to live in denial. It's understandable that to only be appreciated from the eye's perspective is both dull and insulting. However, to get to know someone takes time, and the appearance will always be on display no matter people like it or not. To see the sexiness in someone's heart, it takes time of synchronization as well as to see sexiness in mind of thoughts. Sex is the greatest synchronization tool we have because while we are having sex, we become intimate with each other, and that intimacy shares more than just the flesh and appearance. It shares our emotions as well as our lust and pleasures. To get to know someone for real always takes much longer time, because everyone has an entire lifetime in their luggage. The older we get, the larger the life gets. The world of today seems to have lost track completely of what a human being really is in its existence. We all love to have sex, and it's quite rare in relation to how many times in our life that we actually sexually satisfy ourselves than that we have it in order to reproduce ourselves. Sex isn't just a reproduction skill. It's so much more and so much larger. In your entire lifetime, 99.9% of all the sexual stimuli you provide yourself with, such as sexual intercourse, masturbation, or any form of sexual satisfaction, is for the pleasure and satisfaction from the endorphins released by orgasm, as well as the massive impact the sexual energies has, and has nothing to do with reproduction causes whatsoever. The reproduction skills and knowledge of how to maintain the human race poses no threats of extinction today, and the fact that sex is so much more isn't really any news. Sex has a dimension of possibilities and should be respected thereafter. I define it as erotic, a dimension of sensuality and sexuality between entities and all their senses, as well as their body's erogenous zones of nerve maps all over the human body. Females has extremely hard time to admit their own sexual objectifying of both males and females. Females can be quite mean not only because they can't handle their own truth towards both males and females, but because they have created a female taboo understanding of their own sexualism and sexuality. One example of it is that there has been on several occasions females throwing acid in the face on other females that have great sexual self-esteem. Males, on the other hand, has difficulties to understand where they have themselves when it comes to picturing themselves on how good-looking they are. They seem to believe that they are all handsome and appealing to any female. Humans, when it comes to stand up for the physical acceptance and admittance of their own desires and lusts, aren't always so good in that manner. Not just about themselves, but towards other humans that happens to be great on just that. When it comes to the worst and ugliest mentalities against female beings with great sexual self-esteem, you will not find among the opposite sex, but among other females. Bad sexual self-esteem causes humongous problems among both males and females, and the mental war has ridiculous proportions as well as devastating destruction effects on the social coexistence acceptance. Just like males are crippled when it comes to stand up for the emotional acceptance and admittance of their own feelings, which is odd since it's part of human nature no matter sex. Truth is both male and female wrestle with the same issues, even though they take alternate forms compared to each other. Again, there has been a lot of talk about sex and sexuality here now, and there is a good reason for it. Not just the global issues mankind truly has with it, but it's also important for anyone who wants to get deeper into self-knowledge and to be in better contact with their inner forces. For a warlock, it's essential. By exploring sex, you not only broaden your mind regarding sexuality, but you also enhance your awareness and the sense for the force in metaverse. By exorcising your body's nerve system erotically, your presence in completeness grows larger. Anal sex is an important factor as well, since basically the entire nerve system is in relation to that specific area. And the stimuli enhances as well as trains yourself in a most efficient way when it comes to participating in the way of the force. There are many different areas that work their way in metaverse. Throughout history, there have been loads of different practices, and there still are. Some you might have heard of are healers, shamans, voodoo priests, Wicca, and pagan, but also other religions and isms are active within metaverse. Faith is just one of the great tools within metaverse. As a warlock, your relation to sexuality gets a different nature than most others have. You have seen it from other pathwalkers, as well as witches and monks in different isms. There are several tools you can use to train yourself and your sense. Some tools are of physical nature in form of challenging behaviors that stretches and explores the boundaries of different areas about your own natural existential form of being. Starvation is one of the paths for a metaverse traveler and has been utilized throughout time by both religions and isms. Erotic and starvation serves the purpose of trimming your system and adjusting yourself in order to enhance sensitivity in your own physical body. You raise your awareness and reveal patterns and paths within yourself that is normally clouded when you are in a so-called default state. You change the value of your existential variables, giving new meaning and purposes to events that you in default state is hardly noticing or is neglected. By deliberated alter your needs in life, you can achieve a more realistic and clearer picture of yourself and who you are. You get perspective and angles of first and foremost yourself in a very naked truth, but also your surroundings. Your body is your tool, just like a car or an airplane, only so much more sophisticated. Your spirit and soul are your yin-yang pilot navigating your body. By enhancing your awareness about yourself with these exercises, you become a better navigator and gets a finer-tuned craft/body to interpret and interact in metaverse. Meditation and prayers are tools you use to interact with metaverse and are an execution behavior with the tool of yourself, your body, and your mind. So is spellcasting, curses, blessings, and metaverse crafting. The higher your own self-awareness is, the closer to your own truth you are, and the greater your understanding becomes. That's why true soul-searching is an utterly important tool for anyone who wants to actively journey and participate in metaverse. True soul-searching is an advanced way looking into yourself and the life you have lived. It takes time and courage to do that. It's a journey humans should do a few times in their lifetime. True soul-searching, truth shall bind you, truth shall find you. Truth is your freedom. Truth is your jail. Truth shall set you free. There is and has been many cultures, isms, and religions that are or have been active within metaverse. Even passive or seemingly passive forces are constantly active in metaverse. Life itself, our souls and spirits leave traces and images all over metaverse, some vague, others full throttle. They are out of all kinds of natures, and the one most noticeable are the ones that so-called make noise about themselves. Some are being related to negative outcomes of religions and others as trapped, lost, or so-called soul shards that hasn't passed on but remains in a more substantial form in a lane in metaverse. They are mostly understood as unnatural phenomena by most people. People have stumbled upon cursed places where terrible events has taken place, and its negative energies are strongly active in many different shapes and forms. The energies of universe and metaverse are tightly related together and are natural fuels to each other by nature. Just like physical information is stored in many different forms of physical devices positives, so is metaversical information in its negative. The energies traverse each other in all kinds of direction and have a most utterly complex coexistence. You'll find Pathwalker that belongs to different schools. All of them are active within exist and nature in one way or another. Shamans are strong participators of nature and work with tools from both exist and nature, but are mainly followers of nature, using rhythm to bring themselves into mental states where they interpreted nature in its metaphysical lane and its reflected nature. Warlocks come from exist and works for exist and nature. We are devoted, and our only true faith resides with exist and nature. We pledge our soul and spirit for this purpose and have many paths to evolve into. Another reason for true soul-searching importance is for you to find out whom you are and what paths that truly is your specific nature. Healers are active in both close-range and long-range healing in their lane of positive and balanced energies. Many monks journey and are extremely active all over the world in metaverse in very harmonic ways, in harmony with not just themselves but people and places all over the world. Especially within Buddhism and Hinduism, activities are out of great extent and in a healthier way. The two main religions, on the other hand, even though they are active in many ways, are not always so healthy and on many areas quite unhealthy. Their disrespect for minorities and their constant witch hunt for them and their way to condemn diversity and cultures has caused quite great damage both physically as well as in metaverse. Yet they use the tool of prayers and blessings that are both tools from within exist. You don't need any of the religions in order to bless or pray, nor to have faith. Blessings are a quite beautiful way to support a fellow being, as well as prayers are very effective support tools for any being. You can find people harmonizing daily in their home by utilizing feng shui and adjusting the physical being with metaphysical energies. Feng shui is an old art form and has several stages in their school. It is commonly known by public for decorators work in home with furnishing, adjusting it for best harmony, but it has so many other aspects than that. It's as advanced as being a lifestyle as well. A school of tracking and exploring, discover and examine energies wherever they are located, harmonizing with energies wherever they are in nature. All over the world you find people exploring, journeying, and practicing in metaverse in all kinds of directions. Some work with elemental planes, others seeks wisdom, making long-distance journeys in universe. Many seek harmony and inner balance. Everyone sharing the same tool, themselves. The entity of the human being is so advanced in its completeness, it's amazing how deep you can go within metaverse. There is no end to possibilities, and yet we haven't seen a fraction of it all. Metaverse is a phenomenon that you only reach with an open mind and senses. The last warlock path is for exist and nature, and is as protector and defender of them, exploring, learning, and yielding the force. An evolutionary part of the warlock path. I have gone with myself as Gizmo Strangelove, the last warlock, to Medusa Loveheart, ancient warlock, in my total picture of completeness, both an equal part of me. I stand for exist and all that comes with it. Nature is a natural part of exist, a natural outcome. I stand for nature and its survival and its equality for exist. My soul, spirit, flesh, bone, blood, heart, and mind is an oath for this single purpose and are done so for eternity into infinity, both in metaverse as well as in universe. My first choices I made in these paths was done by myself in my own youth. I started path walking at age of 3 when I made my first decision. My next step was taken at the age of 7. Between the age of 7 and 14 I made several choices and path findings till I was certain on my paths and went silent for about 15 years. During this time, I explored everything I ever possible could in life and what it had to reveal for me. My choices evolved, and year 2007, I closed my first circle and started journeying the second in my own eternity. I had a revelation of my own that became the closure and start, and from there my journeys has been heavy and frequent in many ways. In my closure, I resumed my paths and merged myself together with all my experiences and choices. I have been very active the latest years and have now reached a point of me where I am closing into the completion of my own metaversical birth and its total completion. Yes, it takes time, some longer than others. It's all depending on your nature. The strength of religions in metaverse has grown in proportion and weakened as well over time. They are still strong and will remain, just like today's myths still exist in former forms. You can find lots of historical phenomena in metaverse from all kinds of religions and myths. A culture with great impact on metaverse is the Pharaoh and their faith. You will easily find mysteries of pyramids and other strong meta-phenomena. Their strong faith in maintaining their energies with mummifications and other ceremonial rituals has left a strong impact in metaverse. Metaverse has a very complex relation to what we are used to understand in existence. Time and place don't have the same value in metaverse as in universe. However, there is usually a strong binding with astral beings and locations. One of the amazing pathwalkers truly deals with those phenomena quite often, and I'm referring to people that are sensitive for soul shards stuck or remaining outside the domain of death for some reason. These people are very sensitive when it comes to channeling soul shards that hasn't yet passed on to the so-called other side. These phenomena are also the ones that usually become noisy, and for inexperienced or unfamiliar people this can be a scary experience. Most of the time there is an unresolved issue from the past in their time that needs to be enlightened for them to go to rest. In our history, we have seen many examples of people whose exploration of metaverse and translation of different religious event come to practice some horrific campaigns against both nature and exist, having tremendous impacts on humanity. One of these examples is Hitler and his total remake of the biblical event of King Solomon. Using the David star on his own demons, the Jewish people as demonic containers, sort of speaking all under the power of his own star of Nazism, forcing them to build his empire just like in the Testament of Solomon where the demons were forced to build Jerusalem. The Testament has a rich story of locking up and enslaving different demons in order to achieve glory and power. Hitler recreated the event in his own direction, and also he started to look in other directions for more power and wealth. He was deep in his own so-called faith, and it served him well. Not many others understood him in all he's questing both physically and metaphysically. Hardly any even know his greatness within metaverse. Less did people care to see the truth about it. Metaverse is, no matter people like it or not, just as universe are. Metaverse in its own in some way peculiar existence is beyond our everyday understanding, and yet it affects us all the time in different direction. The lack of us understanding it is more dangerous than beneficial for our continued existence. The dimension of nothing or metaverse is one of the great revealers in this upcoming era. The dimension that has existed here long before life even existed on this planet. It's been utilized by civilizations through our timeline. The Mayan people, Native Americans, the Pharaoh, Vikings, the Orient, Muslims, Christians, Buddhism, African native cultures, ancient Greece, Jamaica, cultures all over the world. The list can be made long. Just some of the examples of activists within metaverse. Metaverse participators has existed long before the two main religions were here. Demons are a constant reoccurring subject within religions where they have been pictured as mean and evil. You have different types of demons. You have the inner demons that people tend to confront every now and then you have the metaversal demons that represent elements or dimensions. Today there is most common talk about the inner demons. Usually, They represent the denial of people's own flaws that's been suppressed and denied for a very long time. Out of that reason, demons have also been used to justify people's own faulty actions in quite many directions. Demons have been used as an excuse to hunt minorities, as well as the denial of existential facts. Truth is that an inner demon is no more or less than the reflection of humans' own weaknesses. Their energies come from suppression into your subconscious, where people denying their own truth and boil their own brew of a demon picture in its completeness if the denial is too hard. Most demon hunters have hunted their own projected weakness, and it has taken such proportion of their incapability to handle themselves in reality that their own negative energies have released some perhaps nasty meta creatures. However, a demon is and has always been no less and no more than a reflection of its encounter. Demons summoned from metaverse, however, by people have usually been done in order to gain power and benefits and has been done in the foulest ways possible. Even demons consist of a harmonic balance when they too are brought back to their element or dimension where they are whole and existing in a healthy environment for them. No force of nature is showing its correct face when it's locked up. Just like you wouldn't be very friendly towards anyone that kept you locked in a basement for a longer period of time. Every force of either nature or metaverse has its own place, its own astral plane, lane, terrestrial, or its own dimension wherever they truly come from. These so-called demons have been harvested and captured by people for fuel and for their own greed and beneficial purposes. The reason for their common existence during time periods is also reflected in the poor mentalities that has been the normality norm at that time being. The lack of understanding and accepting the truth as it is causing more problems to a human subconscious than people usually understand. Today, with a more liberated and healthy mentality, the spoken word of demons isn't so common. People have a natural fear for the obscure and the unknown territory. People's way to handle it takes different odd ways of behavior, not just the appearing behavior, but also the subconscious behavior, all depending on how well you actually are aware and in contact with yourself as human being. People tend to alienate in a less positive way over phenomena and facts that they have a large distance to. Demons are truly the hardest test for today's human being. To come with terms with your own demon is a great school in your own understanding of yourself. It helps you see your own picture in total completeness and is something that's usually done while learning about your own fears and, in your own opinion, your weaknesses. To harmonize with demons within yourself is a great achievement and something everyone have a great use of in their own lifetime. It's the denial of them that causes problem. The rejection and fighting against it can and has taken awful turns throughout the history of humans. Every being is a completion of dark and light, nothing and everything, good and bad. When you see this, understand and embrace it rather than becoming is just a small part of it. Your decisions of making more just and healthy decisions in your path of life will be more correct and accurate, since you then have a total understanding of whom you are and where you are, as well as where you are heading. People denying and closing their eyes for the entire truth about themselves usually makes lots of bad and quite so-called evil choices, even if those made are valued as righteous and good ones in comparison to their own life picture. Because of its limited truth, their choices often will be out of more harmful and evil nature towards their surroundings. Most so-called evil today comes from good wills and intentions. The biggest reason is the lack of ability to see the whole picture of completeness. People don't grow old, they grow limited, and this limitation they voluntarily create and amend in order for them to feel they are in control. The more they follow this belief, the less control they gain. Even though they do create some sort of understanding of their new gained limited existence, it's also all they ever get, since their ignorance for anything residing outside that frame is becoming a mystery and unknown territory for them. This will always happen for all of us, since the nature is way too advanced in its existence. What can be done is to choose the understanding of that this is the way it is, and by doing that minimize the impact every time these borders need to be crossed, and to choose not to amend it. The existing normality norm is also the foundation for these kinds of issues. Today, people reading truths and relativities are not so common and are generally categorized as philosophers. The general problem to see the truth as it is all over the world has many reasons. The mixed pot of science and faith, trying to grasp the entire picture of completeness, usually makes the same mistake. We can't know it all, we do not know when it all started. As long as you try to frame in the truth, we will never have a fair chance to continue to evolve with it in the healthy direction that this opportunity of life is so desperate in need of. There is no end and there is no beginning. There never was a beginning because there is always something before the so-called beginning, and we never know how far back in time it actually is since we already exist. In an eternity into infinity, as stated in the vital information part of the book. Dao Buddhism truly don't see there to be a beginning of all this, since time and existence is way too complicated to believe that there would only have been one Big Bang if there ever was one, that is. And there is no end to this at all. There is, however, a deadline in time to where we must have created spaceships for this species to leave this planet in time, and that deadline is the first solar storm that will raid this planet, but I have a strong feeling it needs to be recalibrated, since both the planet is moving away from the sun, and the sun is growing, and my feeling is that they only calibrated the growing sun without the movement of this planet away from it. That's our only deadline we have, and that's the great news. That's our only fear we have left. This is the great news. The first solar storm is all we have to concern with today. Unless we succeed in ending it prematurely, that is, humans are not even among the most advanced beings in the structures of DNA mappings. Even though any life form's DNA are extremely advanced, humans are just another combination. We are very far from the top of the chain of DNA map complexity and probably only a bit over average when it comes to our complexity of our existence, and truth is we are just an equal part of our nature among a billion of other nature phenomena with their own unique DNA maps and functionality. Humans are today the biggest threat to this opportunity of life existence, and ironically enough, nature's greatest hope to be brought further. In this part of universe, that is. The lack of understanding the reality as it is has created great ignorance and also recklessness against our nature. Our disability to think generationally and to amend the future as an important part of our everyday existence has made mankind destructive and careless about the possibilities that might be. The human body consists of billions of cells in a rich flora of diverse functionality, different organs with different purposes, and most of them both receive and transmit impulses of information. Everything that goes on within a single human entity is being interpreted and processed. The impulses come from all kinds of direction, both internally as well as from its exterior. Your body is not just some flesh and bones, but a very delicate tool and your lifetime experienced vehicle in existence. The human mind has and is debated a lot. How it functions and what its functions are. What's conscious and subconscious? Do they even exist in those forms since it's the same mass? They both exist, the conscious and subconscious, and are out of a bit different nature. Both of them are a natural outcome and are being compiled and growing matter along the way of your own evolutionary timeline in your lifetime. The subconscious is more of a natural outcome of your perception of truth and denial of service. The youth of humans have a very limited and small amount of subconscious as well as conscious. During the years of childhood, your mental existence is a limitless world. Your learning curve and your programming of your conscious is enormous in its impact on your brain during the first years of your life. Not just your biologically motor skill set or social awareness. You also start to create your own emotional trash bin where emotions that provide shame or guilt are efficiently being stored. You are learning about social variables called right and wrong defined by your older being fellows. The right and wrongs, bad and good creates lines of structure for your coming social relations to physical actions and doings. During this time period of your life, you learn and create lots of new variables of social behaviors. The reason we are so different is because even though we are all alike, it's still a completely unique individual with its own personal composure of organs, nerve system, perception, and reading its own existence, and environment completely on its own. During childhood, you experience the strongest evolutionary part of your own relation in and with this existence itself. Your awareness and conscious are open for all suggestion, and slowly it shapes out patterns with constantly testing of all variables that you are being confronted with. Our biological nature has a nice approach during our first years, making sure our learning curve is as it is. During these years, faith is the basic tool any human being has to rely on. For that time period, science isn't even an existing formula, but rather a growing awareness as a result of trial and error. What adults call science doesn't really come to a true state of mind up till the mind is done understanding its own motor skills and its own entity's signal system. The mind constantly evaluates its own system, and doesn't really rest in understanding the entity's signal system. Rather a question of coming in terms with your own awareness about it, and making you harmonize and interact with these signals as well as possible. During this period of time, you walk the path of endless possibilities where you challenge all your emotion in order to see what they actually result in for you. Hate, sadness, love, comfort, trust, right, wrong, shame, pride, dignity, patience, happiness, surprise, disappointment, and expectation, to mention a few. All in a pile of fun and weird variables that doesn't really have a name till someone tells you it has. This is the time of your life when seeing is believing isn't a state of true by itself in your own faith. At this time, all your emotions and senses play an equal large part of what your faith and your beliefs are. Your curiosity rewards you with enlightenment and understanding in both pleasant and unpleasant directions. A world full of what is and how to slowly turns into a world full of this is, and that's how, by time and evolution. Your faith and curiosity that was all the tools of knowledge you had, has all of a sudden company of facts, rules, and directions out of all kinds of nature. The open mind of a child is more sensitive to metaverse since its limitation around the obscure isn't as strong tabulated, and has really no foundation of denial. Since it too just is another unexplored area. Children is always our future, and we should always respect our future with greatest care. The birth is an exceptional natural phenomenon that no matter if it's human or any other animal or nature is something extraordinary. Even though we are free in our evolution, we are all colored by a template when we grow up. The template is the normality norm, setting up values of what is supposed to be considered what. No matter how you twist and turn on that, it will always be a secondary variable. Sometimes it's preserved by larger force and others takes more lightly on this matter. What can be done is the making of the awareness of that particular relation. The normality norm is a template created by us human beings. The impact of religions has massively colored them so far. Existing templates of every society's normality norm template, and truth is that today's templates are still only vague translations of the religion or ism that's being strongest in that area rather than a neutral understanding of whom we are. Science has, however, helped straighten it out a bit, but still in a quite vague form. Today science has a better base plate to stand on than it did a couple of thousands of years ago. In relation to the nature and our existence, the sexuality base among humans is sexual. That's all we are. In order to reproduce, we blend opposite sex and all other times with what is suitable with your own taste and flavor. Nature has already taken care of the when humans are ready for sexual experiences and should be respected thereafter. Nature has shown what gives bad results and what gives good results. We need our diversity by nature. The relation between nature and existence is an amazing blend of dependencies and fuels, chains of relational reactive occurrences that has nothing to do whether humans exist in this opportunity of life or not. We truly are just lucky beings that have the humble opportunity to participate in life here on Earth as a result of this planet's own evolution. One way to easily see the base of the normality norm is to look upon the laws in your country, the parts of it that is reflecting upon human as beings. You will discover that they are more or less based on a religious picture of what humans are, rather than the true picture and more scientifically picture of what our human nature is and what we truly are. The law is a reflection that also has a great impact on the normality norm template and shapes humans in a very strong and efficient way when it comes to accepting reality. Unfortunately, the reflection that regards us as human beings from the laws are usually not very healthy in relation to our diversity in existence, but rather tries to force old religious views of what we all should be like against our own true nature. Laws serves more purposes than that and have great functionality in order to maintain a somewhat sane coexistence in a very peaceful way, and it has in many places come a long way in its own evolution, but it's still lacking a correct foundational standing based upon the human as the being it is. Another important standing law enforcement is lacking in, is to actually reflect our entire existence when it comes to the nature that we humans are heavily depending on. I'm referring to the nature and the life flora of this planet and all its dependencies. There is not enough care about our planet reflected in the laws of today, even though there is a constant growing awareness about it, and the law starts to reflect it more and more. There is still much more to be wished for. One of the great religions are dealing with our conscious in a most advanced, skillful way, describing its superior and its being with its underlying layers. describing the responsibilities of different powers of understandings and awareness, and how heavy its difficult paths are. The balance between the different forces of nature, and what kind of directions that lays ahead in the coming choices that is to be made. In short, it's a very beautiful piece of the subject total awareness. And the book is called the Bible. God is their metaphysical power variable for total awareness, no more no less. Heaven describes the human's possible power, whereas hell shows the weight and how heavy the responsibility of such power is. Whereas the story about humans shows clear examples of our present awareness, and how these two opposites balance our awareness and consciousness. It's an advanced yin and yang about human behaviors and relation to their own existence. Praying to God is the same as praying to your own superior being, in other words yourself, and has many times been an abused tool, used for other purposes than of directional harmony energies. The book deals with metaverse in a quite spectacular way, and is an extremely advanced school in your self-awareness. Way too extreme for the actual followers of it today, and has been so throughout its own history. Ironically enough, the ones active within the metaverse, and those that has actually been true within the so-called Christianity, has been most often either hunted or hated by the ones that are supposed to be responsible for it continues existence. On few occasions they have actually got it right, but have chosen to call the activist for miracles and saints. A more confused school in metaverse when it comes to the ones practicing the faith is probably hard to find. They have time after time crippled their own religion by excluding minorities throughout history, leading to more and more destructive behaviors, and not to mention severely crippled the ones that has been taken them seriously. For the so-called leaders and caretakers of the religion, the reality has moved so far away, and looking upon the ones practicing it today, spirituality and contact with the soul is mostly shining in its complete absence. They might know how to preach the text from what's left of its origin, but have no clue of what the spiritual and soul existence truly is, and even less metaverse itself. For them it's mostly text, and any real contact with metaverse is both considered ugly and tabooed. For the real leaders it's an advanced tool of manipulation trying to enforce a template onto large groups of people. Faith is an abused tool within the religion of the Bible, and has been so for a very long time. Total awareness is when you accept yourself in completeness and understand, and chose to coexist with yourself in all directions. It's a state you can achieve by seeing the truth about yourself in all direction, accepting your subconscious, conscious, and supreme being as a complete picture of your true self. The Bible has just shown humans what they contain, and not what you become if you chose to explore parts of it, but merely what to expect. However, you have not reached your superior being with embracing your subconscious alone. In order to reach the skies, you first need to embrace your hell. Hell describes very well the issues and how hard it is for you to go through true soul-searching. How hard it is to aim for higher responsibilities. Heaven describes very well what it is you can achieve by doing just that. Dealing with your own hell. The head character of the Bible is you. Not Jesus, not God, not Satan, but you yourself. You see plenty of examples of what roads there is to choose from. What happens if you don't take yourself and your own picture of completeness seriously? The school of the Bible is a very handy school and tells you good secrets about what human spirit and soul is about. Unfortunately, the ones that has supposedly been responsible for this type of understanding has never really truly achieved this type of understanding. And that's one of the great reasons our history is so full of destructive behaviors and really ugly mentalities that has originate from this religion. The Bible is a fine composure of reflections of what life is in all direction. Using metaphors and metaphysics to explain science, humans still have problems to grasp in its total picture of completeness. It gives us a great understanding of the human psychology and how our awareness is one of our most important tools. It contains clues and secrets that a certain type of awareness is required for a being in order to see them and to have a slightest chance to start exploring them. The crusade of hate and denial of minorities you have seen throughout history has been nothing else but a complete show-off in human weakness and limitations. Christians have never truly understood the purpose of their own book, but rather functioned as its guardians and protector. It's a part of any life form's evolution and its growing awareness. The religions of this world are an important piece in our evolution, just not the way their own protectors believe they are. The Bible and the Quran are two different schools in our evolution and are equally important. The isms are also important for our total picture and completeness. Both the Bible and Quran should contain the mark of a yin-yang symbol so that people easier could see and understand how to relate to its content. Religions are a milestone for evolution and last for several thousand of years. It's a result of beings' life-form state of awareness reaching a certain point. Science follows another line and will always be an equal important part for its own species' evolution. Science is a universal measurement in physics of existence, whereas faith and awareness are a social and metaversal measurement of existence. The art of calibrating in time is a metaversal tool and will always occur on several occasions. Throughout any civilization. The Mayan civilization did it, the Pharaoh civilization did it, Jesus did it as well as Muhammad did it. Many Buddhist monks has done it. Anyone reaching this state of awareness are usually contributing to its own time era in one way or another. Confucius did what he could in order to share his tools with the coming generations. Siddhartha Gautama Buddha also did the same thing. We have seen both healthy and less healthy doings because of this. Hitler played his part, but was merely taking his responsible part in our chain of evolution. Jesus did the same, even though he knows that humanity would suffer severely from the outcome of his work. Jesus' biggest mistake was that he didn't write the book himself. So many people have been victim for cruel torture and deaths by Christians, so by putting Hitler next to Christianity, it doesn't really seem like there is any different. One of Hitler's main purposes was to show us human beings what the outcome of what both religions would be if you take it to its extreme point of practice. Why failure resides in denying truth as it is. He made sure human mankind never forgets, and also always understand the issues of trying to create some elitism group when looking upon the evolutionary picture of it all. The truth about someone's intentions is not always obvious to its surrounding, and are usually concealed very cleverly by the ones doing the particular walk in life. Evolution has its own ways, and what comes out of it is something we should be grateful to have the chance to participate in. We are not an alpha race of beings in any direction when it comes to ethnical backgrounds. We are all just a part of nature. For now, a very dysfunctional one, and are more of a threat and disease to nature than something to be proud of. It's sad to see such a perfect nature abused by human mankind. Throughout our history, there has been people waking up doing necessary adjustments in one way or another, and by that taking their responsibility in this opportunity of life, making sure our own evolution lasts long enough in order for us to take this particular step. However, it's just a chance we are having, not a necessarily doing. It's all up to the human race on this little planet. We truly are this opportunity of life's own hope to bring it further rather than to spoil it and flush it down the toilet. This is the naked truth about the nature of our Mother Nature's to be or not to be. Unfortunately for our planet, even if we chose to not take this step and chose to quit as the losing mentality many of the leaders of today amend, even if we did wipe out humanity and gave this planet a final moment of peace, it would sadly enough take too many billion years in order for her to save herself in time because of the fact of evolutionary timeline and the fact that the sun keeps growing. There isn't enough time for her to raise up another race with our capabilities most likely. Basically, it comes down to our own decision of whether to be or not to be. Our blindness due to greed for money, oil, and false variables of power is today, however, not pathing for our future existence. We walk around in a false belief that we are supreme beings and a higher form of civilization. That's our biggest mistake today. Humanity must see the truth in the situation and come to realize that we aren't supreme in any way as long as we can't respect the cause and reason we are here to begin with. The opportunity of life we have here is a delicate matter. There is not a thing of what we have invented or done that can compare with nature in any direction. We are participators of it. No matter if we compose new life with help of the understanding of biology and DNA, we still only are participants in a natural outcome of exists and nature's own evolution. The evolution of any opportunity of life takes the same steps more or less in ours has come to a peak when the good old days are about to see a new dawn from a completely new perspective. As I said before, we are no longer standing before the greatest step in history of mankind, but we are truly at the brink of the biggest step of our own possibility of life, evolutionary step. This is a choice of our being for the future. This is the time when we will have to make decisions out of evolutionary proportions. The politics of today is something that used to work fine for countries and borders where the planet's health wasn't really an issue. The variable for that is changing and is doing so faster and faster. This is not in the sense that all life would come to an end by making some enormously decisions, but if we don't stop and think things over, we are about to reach a point of no return for us, as well as our nature, to have a chance to continue this journey in existence. There is no single factor alone that will be the cause of the planet's so-called Armageddon, but many different factors. The less we see the truth as it is, the less is our chances to successfully maintain life, and to bring it further in a rich and healthy way. For thousands of years, the two main religions have spread hate and misunderstanding among us. They have tortured, hunted, and killed minorities in their great lack of respect for our true diversity. They raped our earlier faiths on their holidays and purposes in a quest to make us all fitting into a very disturbed template. The followers of these religions have been deceived in many ways. People that achieve the ability to calibrate pathing of the future and past can only work from within the parameters of where they are in their today time. The prophets used these tools in order to maintain as healthy picture they could possibly find, and that includes all variables there is. It also reflects the time being and evolutionary understandings from how the future is described. One of the most popular calibrators known by us from the past today is most likely Nostradamus. Exploring his texts, you'll notice that his verbs of description are in relation to their mentalities active in their time period, and what was considered horrific at their time. The variables have forms from in their time period and their types of science-fictional variables. No matter who's the prophet or philosopher, their text is only interesting to study in its native form, or in a translation word for word without any form of interpretation, since most people lack the correct understanding of calibrations, and their own mentalities tends to estimate things in a false direction. They are a bit hard to find today, since most people covering the issue are making their own interpretation of what has been said. A calibrator's time map usually describes what is to come in all directions, not just physical events, but also metaphysical. In other words, they explore the social normality norms as well, and what many people consider catastrophically Armageddons is not only occurring in physics. A very clear and easy example of that was the major change of people's understanding of reality from living on a flat Earth to living on a round orbital planet. That was a major Armageddon and a complete devastation of all human life's mentality of normality norm. Another great step in human evolution and their advancement in awareness. For most of the people of today, that's exactly where you are. All the lies you have been living in, and the storm you will have to be able to clear out in order to understand and grasp that you have grown up in a lie. You're not alone, and many people will have severe issues dealing with it. Today's mentalities and normality norm does not support the opportunity of there will be a better time when people are more ready. These types of evolutionary steps rarely have till now. Scientists has tried to see the truth in evolution throughout history as well, and they usually help humanity in their progress of understanding reality at the time being. Charles Darwin is one that have had a great impact on humanity in many ways. His devotion to nature has served many good purposes and a major step that's been welcomed by many. The natural choice, however, is more than what he claims and far more advanced he could ever dream of. Nature has all the possibilities needed for any time being with limits only nature has. We tend to consider ourselves of supreme beings due to the fact we are of the nature we are. What's lacking here for this gentleman is the understanding of nature as the true supreme being, and that we are just participants and the one that are able to shoulder as its caretaker and protectors. Every opportunity of life has these opportunities and will always have. The backside of the efforts from this gentleman is the same as with many other scientists. The outcome of the neglecting of us just being a part of all this. The awareness that we are the ones that are maintaining the nature, and with that comes a responsibility no one never gets. In a continued existence in the future, humans have understood the purpose of life's dependencies and how vital they truly are. The rich flora of diversity from nature's magnificent existence are for a great reason. The facts from Darwin are correct, but the truth doesn't end there. This is a common issue for most people's efforts and has natural reason. Humans of today don't really consider our existence in generations ahead, nor its existence in our future as more than on this planet. The limitation in mentalities that we are for some reason bound to this planet solely, and the denial of our ability to bring life further is the cause for many of our destructive behavior and neglecting of the truth of our existence entire picture of completion. This is one of the main reasons we are still having such a hard time to see ourselves as a united force together on this planet, and that our lives truly is enriched by our diversity, not just among humans but in all the nature we live among. The nature is our mother at all time. The reason to the different forms each individual being's choices has been in the evolutionary process of advancement is cause whenever you reach this type of advanced being you are always limited to what's possible at the time being. Hence the natures of any prophet or scientist or other like Hitler, Jesus, Confucius, Einstein, and before them all as well as after and in between. Hence the nature of this and us as being my ourself that is. Today we have reached far into the information technology age, and today everything is in place. It's in consideration to where we are rather than to what we are prepared to that directs our possibilities in the impact of choices made. Many might have wanted to take more advanced steps than they actually have done, but due to where in our evolutionary timeline we are they to has followed exists in nature's natural being. Today everything is already in place both technology-wise and our social awareness. We have all the necessary means that we could need, but we lack in the universal understanding and the truth about our existence. The world is reaching more and more a peaceful, united picture. However, all around the world confusion is rising as well as the ever-growing lack of faith in our future. There is a failure of motivation and an absence for a reason for all this. We today lack a mutual foundational understanding that the planet we all live upon, this planet Earth isn't just a planet, it's one huge living organism. We are just a part of it as its own natural outcome. The planet as an organism has billions of species with their own purposes of existence for this organism best continued existence and hopefully widely spread over all kinds of places in universe. Unfortunately, today this planet has a disease called humans that weakens the organism and wars among each other, rather than to live up to the higher form of civilization and proudly take responsibility.